everyone, I'm Amy and welcome back to my yoga channel. Today we're going to be doing a Rocket 1 yoga flow. So primary series Rocket, it is modified, so it follows the sequence, but I have taken a few postures out here and there. If you're new to Rocket, I hope that you enjoy it. I'm sure you're going to love it. It's a little bit faster paced, so it's a little bit more of like a power yoga, but it will get you give you some nice heat and give you some energy to continue with your day. So let's begin. So to begin today's practice, I'm just going to come into a comfortable cross-legged position. So option as always to grab the block, grab a blanket, just to pop underneath the sit bones to make this just a little bit more comfortable when you're in a seated position. Wiggle yourself around, get nice and comfy. Bring the palms onto the tops of the knees and just close down the eyes. So I'm going to start to focus on the breath here, just to slow everything down before we go into our practice today. I'm going to sit nice and tall, relax the shoulders, relax the neck. And on your next inhale, lift the shoulders up towards the ears, roll them back down again. Do that a couple more times. So as you inhale, roll the shoulders up, and as you exhale, roll them back down. Again, inhale and exhale to roll the shoulders down. Do a couple more in the opposite direction. Inhale, shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale them back down. Again, inhale and exhale. Time. Inhale and exhale. Start to focus on nice, long, equal inhales and exhales. So we're going to inhale for 4 and exhale for 4. Inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4. Keep those equal inhales and exhales going throughout today's practice. If at any point you need to slow everything down, just come back to the breath. When you're ready, you're going to blink open the eyes. Place the right palm down on the floor. Inhale the left palm up and over, just giving ourselves a nice side body stretch here. And as you exhale, bring the left palm down, inhale the right palm up and over. Exhale the right palm down. We're going to bring ourselves into the tabletop position. Just going to warm up through the wrists and through the spine. So bring your knees hips width distance apart, tops of the feet onto the mat. And have your wrists in line with your shoulders and your fingers spread wide. Your index fingers pointing towards the top edge of the mat. And from here, we're just going to gently rock ourselves backwards and forwards, just waking up the wrists for our practice. Giving them a nice stretch. Turn the palms out to the sides of the mat and just rock yourself gently from side to side. Just feeling that nice gentle stretch this morning, or whatever time of the day you're hopping onto your mat. Bring the fingertips so they're pointing towards the thighs and just gently rock backwards and forwards. And then bring the palms back to facing the top edge of the mat. From here we're going to move into a few rounds of cat-cow. So as you take an inhale, we're just going to lower the belly down, raise the gaze. And as you exhale, rounding through the spine, rounding through the shoulders. Take another inhale to drop the belly, broaden through the chest, gaze comes up, and exhaling, letting everything go, rounding through the spine. Do that a couple more times, so inhale, and exhale. One more round, inhaling, and exhaling to let everything go. Going to push back onto the knees, and from here you're going to bring the hands out in front of you. We're just going to clench the fists and release. Just keep doing that a few times, again, to warm up the hands, the wrists, the fingers. Bring the arms up above the head, continue the same movement with the hands. And the arms out to the sides, shoulder height. Continue that same motion. Should start to feel a slight burn through the arms. You're building heat. And bring the palms back to the front. And release. Shake the hands, shake the wrists out slightly here. And from here we're just going to interlace the hands behind the back. Take a big inhale, drop the head back, broaden through the chest. Just creating some space. Pretty nice stretch through the neck, through the shoulders, the chest. And exhaling to release. So from here, come forward back into tabletop position, tuck the toes under. We're going to come into our first downward facing dog. So here, option as always to have a bend through the knees, pedal out the legs, have your feet hips width distance apart. Gaze towards the navel, or the tops of the thighs. And just make sure the head's nice and relaxed here, so there's no tension in the neck or in the shoulders. Bring your wrists shoulder width distance apart. Feels good, just nod the head, give it a little shake from side to side. We'll just take a few breaths here, pedaling out the legs, warming up. That's the hamstrings, the thighs, the glutes. The whole back side of the body. It's creating a nice stretch. And when you're ready, just going to slowly walk ourselves towards the palms. Take a pause here for an inhale. Bring the gaze up to a half lift. And as you exhale, come into a nice forward fold. Grab hold of the elbows. Just heel toe the feet apart slightly. An option here just to gently rock yourself from side to side. Then releasing any tension through the lower back, backs of the legs, having a bend through the knees if that feels good. Just being mindful of how you feel during today's practice. And from here, just release the palms, slowly roll yourself up to standing. Bring the palms and the arms continue up above the head. And as you exhale, just bring the hands to prayer at heart centre. So from here we're going to move on to a few rounds of sun salutations, just to warm up the body and to bring some energy into the body. So on your next inhale, bring the palms up, look towards your thumbs, exhale to a forward fold. Take an inhale to a half lift, flat back, gaze comes up, and as you exhale, stepping back, lowering down through plank to chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog and exhaling into downward facing dog. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. Again, pedaling out the legs, shaking out the head, making sure you're not holding on to any tension. Take one more breath here. And as you inhale, you're going to lift the heels. Take an exhale to put a bend through the knees. Gaze comes forward towards the palms. We're going to walk, step or jump to the top of the mat. Half lift, gaze up, and exhale to a forward fold. We're going to take that half lift one more time. So take an inhale, gaze comes up, and exhaling to forward fold. On your next inhale, we're going to rise all the way back up to standing. Gaze comes up towards the palms. Bring the hands into prayer at heart centre. Again, inhale, arms up, look towards the thumbs. We're going to exhale to forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, stepping back, lower down through plank, chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog and exhaling to downward facing dog. Again, taking 3 nice long breaths here. Focusing on inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4. Again, inhale and exhale. On the next inhale, lifting the heels, exhale to bend the knees, gaze comes forwards. Inhale to walk, step or jump to the top, half lift, gaze comes up, and exhaling to forward fold. Again, taking the inhale to a full half lift, gaze comes up, and exhaling back into the forward fold. On the next inhale, rise all the way back up to standing, and exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. And move on to sun salutation B. So inhale, arms up, come down into chair pose. Exhaling to forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. And exhale as a step back, lower down through chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog and exhaling to downward facing dog. From here we're going to turn the left toes out, bring the right foot forward, rise up into warrior 1. Gaze comes up towards the palms, bending through the right knee. And exhaling both palms to the mat, stepping ourselves back, lower down chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhaling to downward facing dog. Repeating on the left side, so turn the right toes out, inhale the left leg up and through, rising up into warrior 1, gaze comes up, exhaling palms to the mat, step back, lower down through chaturanga, inhaling to upward facing dog, and exhaling to downward facing dog. And here, focusing back to the breath. Again, pedaling out the legs, your body should start to feel nice and warm by now. Creating some energy flowing through the body. On your next inhale, lifting the heels, exhale to bend the knees. Inhale to walk, step or jump to the top of the mat. Take a half lift, bring the gaze up, exhaling to forward fold. And as you inhale, rise up through chair pose. And we're going to exhale straight into the next round. So coming down back into forward fold. Inhale, half lift, gaze up. Exhale, stepping back, lower down through chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog. And exhaling to downward facing dog. Again, turn your left toes out. Inhale the right leg up and through, rising up into warrior 1. Exhale, both palms to the mat, stepping back, lower down chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhaling to downward facing dog. On the inhale, turn the right leg out, bring the left leg up and through, rise up, warrior 1. Exhale, both palms to the mat, stepping back, lower down through chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog, and exhaling to downward facing dog. And bringing our attention back to our breath, slowing everything down. We're building a lot of heat by now, waking up the body. Pedaling out the legs if that feels good. And on the next inhale, we're going to lift the heels. Exhale to bend through the knees. Inhaling to walk, step or jump to the top of the mat. Half lift, bring the gaze up. Exhaling to forward fold. And inhaling to rise all the way back up through chair pose. Now we're going to stay in chair pose here. Bring your heels in line with the hips width distance apart. I'm going to bring the weight into the heels as you drop the sit bones down lower. Gaze comes towards the palms or straight forwards, whichever feels good. Just making sure there's no tension through the neck or through the shoulders. Take one more breath here. Then on the exhale, bring the palms behind the back, interlace the fingers. We're going to just drop the chest towards the belly, bringing the sit bones a little lower, really broadening through the chest. If it feels good, you can always come a little bit deeper into a forward fold here. Just take a couple of breaths here. And on your next exhale, Bringing both palms down to the mat. We're going to heel toe the feet out to the sides of the mat. We're going to come into Malasana, which is our Yogi Squat. So bringing the bum down towards the mat. Option here to use a block just to pop underneath the bum if that feels a little bit more comfortable. We're going to bring the hands to prayer at heart center, and you're going to gently push onto the insides of the thighs here with the elbows. Just creating a little bit of space. Always close down the eyes if that feels good. Just focusing on your inhales and your exhales. And on the next exhale, bring the palms to the mat. We're going to step ourselves back, lower down through Chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog. And exhaling to downward facing dog. Here we're just going to take one big inhale through the nose and exhaling through the mouth, letting everything go. And then on the next inhale, turning the left toes out, we're going to inhale the right leg up and through, rising back up into Warrior One. Gaze comes up towards the palms or straight forwards, whichever feels good. Creating a bend through the right knee. You want to aim to have your hips roughly square to the top of the mat and have your feet on two separate lines here. Knee in line with the ankle. And on the next exhale, coming into Warrior Two. So bringing your heels in line, still keeping that bend through the front right knee. Bring the arms out to a T and the gaze comes forwards over the right middle finger. Hips square to the long edge of the mat this time. And just be mindful that the knee doesn't tend to, sometimes here it can tend to fall in. You want to kind of keep it so that it's pushing towards the outer edge of the mat here. On your next inhale, straighten out both legs. Bring your stance slightly shorter, and as you exhale, reach forwards and down. We're going to come into triangle pose. So windmill the right arm up, left arm up, right arm down. Gaze comes towards the left palm. Again, option here to just place a block on the inside of the right foot, just bringing the ground a little bit higher. And being mindful not to kind of dump too much here. You want to kind of engage your core so that you're still lengthening through the spine, creating space, stretching through the side body. And on the next exhale, I'm going to bring both palms to the mat. Bring your stance a little bit wider here so that your feet are on two railroad track lines again. We're going to keep the left palm down, and on the inhale, we're going to raise the right palm, coming into Revolve Triangle Pose. Again, using a block here underneath the left palm is an option. Brings the ground a little bit higher, can make the pose a lot more comfortable. We'll take a couple more breaths here. And as you exhale, bring both palms to the mat. We're going to windmill the arms up. We're going to come back into our Warrior Two. So your feet, again, are on both, heels are in line. Gaze is forward towards the front middle finger. And as you exhale, we're going to come into side angle pose. So exhale the right palm down, left palm up. Option here to keep the arm reaching up as it is, or you can just bring it slightly overhead. You'll feel a really nice stretch down the side of the body here. You want to have your ankle in line with the knee. We'll take a couple of breaths. And as you exhale, bring both palms to the mat. Lift the back foot so the heel is up. We're going to inhale ourselves into crescent lunge. And as we exhale, bring the hands to prayer at heart center, twisting round to the right hand side. So we're going to hook the left elbow over the right knee, hands to prayer at heart center, right elbow points up towards the ceiling. Gaze comes up towards the right elbow. Find a fixed point that you can focus on here to help with the balance. Keep the legs nice and strong and active. And then as you exhale, bring both palms to the mat. We're going to step ourselves back here, lower down through chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog and exhaling to downward facing dog. Again, we're going to take 3 nice long breaths here. Pedaling out the legs. Bring the gaze towards the navel, towards the tops of the thighs. Maybe give the head a little shake, release any tension. And from here, we're just going to move into Dolphin Pose. So there's an option to come into Pincher, if Pincher is in your practice. But today, we're just going to come into Dolphin. So we're going to bring our forearms down onto the mat. And you kind of want to have your elbows in line with your shoulders. And maybe bring your thumbs together so that they act as a bit of a buffer, because your hands will naturally try and sort of gravitate in towards each other. So if you you can always option to use a block as well, or just keep the thumbs so that they are kind of touching, and that will help give you a little bit of a barrier there, because sometimes I feel like with the with your forearms it feels like they should naturally sort of go out and the palms come in, so it just helps just to give as a little bit of a guide. So from here we're going to come back as if we're going into downward facing dog, but we're going to leave the forearms onto the mat. So here, if you want to have a bend through the knees, then stay here. We're going to be here just for a count of 10. So if you're coming with me, we're going to inhale the right leg up, and we're going to stay here for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale the right leg down. Inhale the left leg up for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. Exhale the left leg down. Bring the knees down. Just take a little rest in child's pose for a few breaths. If you went up into Pincher, just bring yourself down, come into child's pose. Just focus on the breath before we move on to the left-hand side. Your next inhale, reach the palms forwards. We're going to flip the toes under, coming back into downward facing dog. Take an inhale, turn the right toes out. Inhale the left leg up, rising up into warrior 1. Again, bring the feet so that they're on 2 separate tracks here. Bending through the left knee. Gaze comes up towards the palms. Strong and active in both legs. One more breath. And then on your next exhale, moving into warrior 2. So bring the heels so they're in line. Gaze comes over the front middle finger, being mindful of that knee not falling in. Try and keep it so that it's reaching towards the outer edge of the mat. Hips square to the long edge of the mat here. A couple more breaths. And on the next inhale, just going to reduce our stance slightly, and as we exhale, reaching forward, windmilling, left arm down, right arm up, coming into triangle pose again. Gaze comes up towards the right palm. Left palm just resting on the inside of the shin. You can use a block here as well. And again, just being mindful not to dump too much into the shin, too much weight into the front leg there. You want to have your core engaged. You can really feel the stretch through the side of the body. On the next exhale, bring both palms to the mat. Bring the right leg out slightly. We're going to move into Revolve Triangle. So keeping the right palm on the mat, inhale the left palm up, twisting, bringing the gaze up to the left palm. Again, option to use a block here, just to bring the ground a little bit closer. And then as you exhale, you're going to windmill the arms up, coming back into warrior 2. So your feet on heels in one line, gaze comes towards the front middle finger. And as you exhale, moving into extended side angle. So keeping a bend through the front left leg. Gaze comes up towards the right palm. Option to bring the right arm further overhead. Should feel a really nice stretch through the side body here. Keeping the neck nice and relaxed, there's no tension, so bringing the gaze to wherever feels good. Take a couple more breaths here. And as you exhale, bring both palms to the mat, spin the back heel up, rising up into crescent lunge. And exhaling as we twist round to the left-hand side. So hooking the right elbow over the left knee. Gaze comes up towards the right elbow. Hands to prayer at heart center. Finding a fixed point for your gaze, which will help with the balance. And of course, if you fall, don't worry, just come straight back into it. Let's take a couple more breaths here. And as you exhale, bring both palms to the mat. We're going to step ourselves back, lower down through chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog and exhaling to downward facing dog. Let's take a couple of breaths here, pedaling out the legs. And we're going to come back into Dolphin Pose. Again, option for pincher. If you're coming with me, we're going to drop the forearms down to the mat. Again, bringing those thumbs so that they act as a bit of a buffer. Elbows in line with the shoulders. And on your inhale, lift the right leg up. You can stay here for 5, for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Exhale the right leg down. Inhale the left leg up for 5, for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Exhale down to the mat, bring the knees down. Coming into child's pose, just to gather ourselves. Again, bringing the attention back to the breath. Inhaling for 4. And exhaling for 4. Slowing everything down. And on the next inhale, reaching the palms forwards. We're going to push back up into downward facing dog. And from here, we're going to bring our palms, walk our palms back towards our feet. And just as we did before, we're going to grab hold of the elbows here. We're going to let the head hang. Gently sway from side to side. The body should feel a lot warmer by now. It feels good, and bring that bend into the knee. Just be very mindful how you feel, so just go as far as feels good. And then as we exhale, just releasing the palms to the mat, we're going to hook our fingers round our big toe, grabbing hold of the big toe here, taking an inhale, coming into that half lift. And as we exhale, just relaxing down into that forward fold. Take a couple of breaths here. And then as we inhale, coming back into that half lift, we're going to place the palms underneath the feet, bringing the toes towards the wrists. And as we exhale, just coming back into the forward fold. If it feels good, you can massage the wrists with the toes. One more inhale. And exhaling to release. On the next inhale, we're going to put a bend through the knees, slowly roll ourselves up to standing, vertebrae by vertebrae. Let the arms continue overhead. We're going to come up onto tippy toes. Again here, try and find a fixed point where you can bring your gaze, which will help with your balance. And we're going to slowly just walk ourselves back to the top of the mat. When we reach the top of the mat, on your next exhale, we're just going to release the arms down, the heels down to the mat. And the hands to the waist, elbows pointing back. Just going to step out to the right hand side with the right foot, coming into forward folds now. So on your next inhale, we're just going to raise raise the arms up above the head, and as you exhale, coming into a forward fold. So bringing the fingertips so they're in line with the toes. You want your toes slightly pointing in. And as you take an inhale, coming into that half lift, flat back, and exhaling just to lower ourselves down a little bit more. Option here to come up into headstand if that's in your practice. But today we're just going to hang out here for a couple of breaths. And on your next inhale, coming all the way back up to stand, we're going to interlace the palms behind the back. And as you exhale, just coming into that forward fold again, broadening through the chest, just coming as far as feels good. Let the head relax. Feeling the stretch through the shoulders, through the backs of the legs here. And as you inhale, again, rise all the way back up to stand. Bring the arms up above the head, and as you exhale, we're just going to bring the palms down either side of the legs, grabbing hold of the big toes with the thumb and forefinger. Let the elbows come out to the side. Take an inhale to a flat back, and exhaling back into our forward fold. So the elbows come out square to the side. Releasing any tension through the neck. Just shake the head from each side, give it a little nod. One more breath here. And as you inhale, slowly coming all the way back up to standing. So from here, we're going to take the inhale again, arms up above the head. And as you exhale, coming into a forward fold. Now we're going to come into a wide-legged seated position. So you can either do this by obviously sitting straight down on your mat and bringing the legs out to either side. Or option 2, from that wide leg forward fold, just bringing the backs of the arms, go back as far as possible here. We don't want to come, actually, let's bring ourselves towards the other side of the mat, just to give ourselves a little bit more space. So walking the palms back towards the back of the mat, just going to crouch down slightly and bring the inner thighs onto the tops of the backs of the arms. And we're just going to slide down the arms here and come into our wide leg forward fold. So just a little option there to bring you down into seated on the mat. So from here, we're just going to bring our left foot on the inside of the right thigh. We're going to take an inhale and we're just going to fold over to the right hand side here. So just going as far as feels comfortable, maybe having each palm on either side of the leg here. And just feeling the stretch through the side body, through the lower back, backs of the legs, flexing the foot. And taking an inhale to come up, we're just going to switch the legs over. So bring the right foot in and just stretching over to the left hand side. Again, just coming to wherever feels good. Sometimes you'll find that one side is a lot tighter than the other. So just be mindful of how you're feeling. Take an inhale to come all the way back up. Bring both legs out to the side. We're going to take an inhale, bring the palms up, and as you exhale, we're just going to walk ourselves gently forwards. We're giving ourselves a nice stretch on the inside of the thighs here. If it feels good, flex through the feet. Take a couple of breaths here. Sometimes again it's quite nice to add a block in here so that you can pop your wrists onto a block. And then on the inhale, coming back out of the pose, we're going to spin ourselves round. We're going to rise up into Shavasana. So making sure you're comfortable on your sit bones here. Bringing the weight backwards slightly, lifting the feet off the mat. Option to keep a bend through the knees or bringing the legs up to straight. Again, whichever feels good. Bringing the gaze towards the toes. lengthening through the spine. A fixed point for your gaze, which will help with the balance. And on the exhale, we're just going to roll over the toes, coming back, lowering down through chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog, and then exhaling to downward facing dog. Taking a couple of breaths here, pedaling out the legs. Giving the head a little shake, a little nod. And then on the next inhale, we're going to walk ourselves up to the top of the mat. I'm going to take a half lift here, gaze comes up. Exhaling into a forward fold. And on the inhale, just rolling ourselves all the way back up to standing. We're going to do a couple of standing balancing postures here. So again, we're going to try and find that fixed point of gaze. And as always, if you fall, just pause the video, come straight back into it. You're going to bring the weight into the left foot. And as you inhale, you're going to grab hold of the right big toe and bring the right leg out in front of us. Finding that fixed point. Bring the left hand onto the waist, elbow coming back. A couple of breaths here. And then on your next exhale, just bring the right leg out to the side. Again, we're here just for a couple of breaths. As you inhale, bring the leg back to centre. We're going to release the toe. We're going to hold here for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release that leg down, give the legs a little shake. And we're going to repeat that onto the left-hand side. So again, finding a nice place for the gaze, help with the balance. Bringing the weight into the right foot. We're going to inhale the left leg up. Grab hold of the big toe with the thumb and forefinger. Right hand to the waist, elbow coming back, gaze on a fixed point. Couple of breaths here. On the next exhale, bring that left foot out to the side. Couple of breaths. When you're ready, bring the foot back to centre. Releasing the toes for 5, for 4, flexing through the foot for 3, for 2, and 1. Release to the mat. Give the legs a nice shake out. And from here, we're going to salute the sun. So inhale, arms up, look to the thumbs. Exhaling to forward fold. Inhaling, half lift, gaze comes up. Exhale, step back, lower down through chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog. And exhaling to downward facing dog. And from here, we're going to come to seated. So just bring yourself to a nice, comfortable seated position on the mat. Maybe kind of shuffle yourselves a little bit so that you're sitting nice and comfortably. Legs out in front. Equal weight within the sit bones. And from here, take an inhale, lift the arms up above the head. And as you exhale, leading with the chest, not with the head, we're just going to come into a nice, lovely forward fold. Just bringing the hands to wherever feels comfortable. So if that's either side of the legs, if it's thumb and forefinger around the toe, just being mindful of how you feel. On the next inhale, we're just going to release. We're going to exhale back into the fold, but just change the hand position slightly. Maybe interlace the fingers behind the feet. Feeling the stretch on the backs of the legs. As we inhale, we're just going to release. We're going to rise up into Shavasana, into our boat pose here. So gaze at a fixed point will help with your balance. We're going to stay here for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. As we release, we're going to roll over the toes, moving through vinyasa, step back, lowering down through chaturanga, inhaling to upward facing dog, and exhaling to downward facing dog. On the next inhale, we're going to come back through to seated. So we're going to have our left leg out in front, bring the right foot on the inside of the left thigh. Hips square to the front of the mat, flexing through the left foot. We're going to take an inhale here, and as we exhale, Again, coming into a nice forward fold, leading with the chest, not with the head, and coming to wherever feels good. So if that's hands either side of the legs, if it's interlacing the fingers around the foot, just doing whatever feels good. Take a couple more breaths here. And as we inhale, releasing, we're going to pop our right foot down onto the mat. Here you want to kind of look to have the distance between the inside of your left thigh and the right foot as just your fists together here, or the palm of the hand just spread open wide. Keeping that flex with your left foot. Bring the left palm down. Inhale the right arm up, and as you exhale, bringing the right arm around the right knee, wrapping it round, grabbing hold of a jumper or the wrist. And we're just going to take again a bit of a forward fold here, leading with the chest. Take a few inhales and exhales here. And when you're ready, just going to release out of the posture. We're going to come into a twist here. Bring your right palm down to the outside of the right thigh. Inhale the left arm up, and as you exhale, just hook it over the right knee. Gaze comes over the right shoulder. Being mindful here not to start to dump your weight into your right palm. You want to be lengthening through the spine. Gaze over that right shoulder. You're feeling a nice twist here. And as you exhale, releasing, rise back up into Shavasana, into our boat pose for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rolling over the feet, moving through Vinyasa, lowering down through Chaturanga, inhaling to upward facing dog, exhaling to downward facing dog, and then coming back to seated on our mat. So we're going to repeat that on the left hand side. So have the right foot out in front of you. Bring the left sole of the foot on the inside of the right thigh. Flexing the right foot, we're going to inhale the arms up, and as we exhale, forward fold. Again, coming to where it feels good. You'll often find that one side of the body might be tighter than the other side, so just be very mindful as to how you're feeling. Take a couple of nice long breaths here. On the next inhale, releasing, you're going to bring the left sole of the foot to the mat, making sure you've got that nice distance between the inner thigh and the sole of the foot. As you take the inhale, lifting the left arm up, wrapping around the left knee, just coming into that nice yummy forward fold, leading with the chest. Staying nice and long through the spine. Taking an inhale to release. We're going to move into the twist on our left hand side. So inhale the right arm up, hooking over the left knee, twisting round to the left hand side. Gaze comes over the left shoulder. Lengthening through the spine, sitting nice and tall. And as you exhale, just releasing, rising back up into Navasana. We're going to do a little bit of core work here. So we're going to stay here for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to lower down into a low boat for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rising back up into Navasana again for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back into that low boat one more time for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Releasing, rolling over the toes, stepping ourselves back, moving through Vinyasa, inhaling to upward facing dog, and exhaling to downward facing dog. So we're just going to do a couple of bridge poses here. So we're going to come back down to sitting on our mats. And we're going to lay ourselves down onto the mat. Bring the heels so that they're a little bit closer towards the bum here. Bring the palms either side of the body. And as you take an inhale, you're just going to lift up through the hips. Start to broaden through the chest as you bring the palms together, interlace the fingers, and push up with the hips. Try and be mindful of what the knees are doing here. You don't want them sort of falling out to the side. You want to kind of maintain that pulling in of the feet, the toes slightly pointing in here as well. Take a couple more breaths. And as you exhale, we're just going to release. Bring the knees into the chest. Give ourselves a little hug, rocking from side to side. If that's enough for today, stay here. We're going to do one more round of bridge. So bring the soles of the feet to the mat. As you inhale, lifting through the hips, interlacing the palms, broadening through the chest, bringing the chest towards the chin. Take a couple more breaths here. And when you're ready, just release out of the pose. Bring the knees back into the chest. Give ourselves a little hug, rock and roll from side to side. And then grabbing hold of the backs of the thighs, we're just going to roll ourselves backwards and forwards here. And we're going to see if we can roll ourselves over the toes, and we're going to move through vinyasa again. So, roll yourself up, moving over the toes, stepping ourselves back, lowering down through chaturanga, inhaling to upward facing dog, and exhaling to downward facing dog. Take a nice couple of breaths here, focusing on your inhales and your exhales. And from here, we're just going to move into shoulder stand. So again, we're going to come through to sitting on the mat. I'm just going to shuffle ourselves forward just ever so slightly so that we have a bit of space. And when you're ready, we're going to come down to laying onto the mat. You bring the palms either side of the bum here onto the mat. As you lift the heels, we're just going to gently rock ourselves and push with the palms of the hands, lifting up, coming into shoulder stand. You might need to kind of drop the legs back a little bit, just to bring the tops of the arms in a little bit closer, so that you've got nice support there for the back with the palms of the hands. Bringing the chest towards the chin, but being mindful not to bring the chin too far in towards the chest there. If this feels good, we're going to stay here for a count of 10, for 10 breaths. And then as you exhale, bring the knees down towards the head. We're just going to slowly roll ourselves down, leaving the knees so that they're in towards the chest. Again, rocking from side to side, just giving our spine a little massage here. And again, from here, we're just going to rock and roll ourselves back through vinyasa. One last vinyasa before we come into our Shavasana. So rolling over the toes, stepping ourselves back, lowering down chaturanga, upward facing dog, and exhaling to downward facing dog. And we're going to come back seated on our mats. And we're going to come down into our final Shavasana. So if you've got a blanket or a jumper to hand, then grab that and just pop that on or lay that over you. Let the feet fall out to the sides, the palms facing up. Let the arms come slightly out to the side as well. Give yourselves a little bit of a wiggle round so you're nice and comfortable. And as always, if you've got a little bit longer, just press pause. You can stay in Shavasana for as long as you need to. Just soaking in today's practice. Focusing on your equal inhales and exhales, slowing everything down. Feeling everything relax. And when you're ready, just bring some movement into the toes, into the fingertips. We'll take a big inhale, bring the arms up above the head, stretching through the body. And as we exhale, we're just going to release, rolling over to the right hand side, coming back up into our cross-legged position. Just bring the hands to prayer at heart center. I'm going to bow the head. Namaste. So thank you so much for joining today's practice. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you feel nice and energized and ready to continue with your day. If you like this video, don't forget to click like. And of course, if you're new to this space, then make sure that you click subscribe. And I hope that I will see you next time. Namaste.